what can it be here? I guess is the question. My instinct says if it's not queen h7, it has to be hg6. And then queen a1, king c2. If check, you take. If check, you come up. If check, you go king a4, bishop c6, king b4, and I think you're winning. I think it's basically forces queens off, and because you're down a pawn, you're going to be a little bit worse here if queens come off. So what are the options? Let's see. Knight e5 is a funny looking move here. After queen e5, I assume there's a trick with like bishop d4, knight d4, rook f8, which looks winning. And if knight e5, queen e8, queen e2, king h3, you're winning. Knight e5 looks brilliant if it works.
And when he plays queen g6, this is the frickin' coup de grace. White to play and win, ladies and gentlemen. This is the frickin' move. And when I saw this, I almost flipped out. Rook h8. Rook h8. He cannot take with the bishop. He's got to take with the king, and he loses his queen. But that's not all.
My goal is to explain how GMs compute and calculate tactics. In the video, we have Hikaru trying this position white to play. What does he do first? First, he checks the positions and realizes, of course, black has 2 extra pieces. So white has to find something urgently. Now, the first move he looks at is queen takes h7, right? The king has to take. Now he can do check with the rook like that. The rook here attacks. The king moves, and here he's looking. What can white do? You can take over here, but it looks like the king's gonna escape. But here you can also bring the rook over here. But the king escapes. And I don't see a checkmate, right? And neither does Hikaru. Okay, so queen h7 was an attempt. Now here, what can you do with white? Why? You can take on h6, right? If black takes back, it's gonna be checkmate. Black takes like that, checkmate. So what is black's move here? Well, clearly black has to give a check. And now it's white's turn, right? What would you consider here? And in here, white can bring the king on c2 or bring the king on d2. So these are the 2 lines to calculate. But now, in this video, I'm gonna present what is the key to calculate like Hikaru and Danya Naroditsky. On your screen here, I'm showing the 4 steps. Find all the candidates' moves. Go for checks, captures, and forced moves. Number 3, you calculate the line until you find the best move. And number 4, you double check. Did you miss a defense for the opposite side? And that's how you can compute and calculate like a GM, like Stockfish even.
Ooh, I don't know, but I think it's hg6. If it's not queen h7, and you're down 2 2 pieces, it has to be hg6. 2 moves. If king d2, queen b2, king d3, queen b5, you're probably just losing. But I think it has to be king c2. And if knight b4, you take, check, king there is good. Here knight b4 takes, bishop e4, king b3, bishop d5, c4 takes, queen a6, king c3, rook c8, king d2, rook c2 takes, check, king b1, check, rook c2 is winning.
Okay, that was intense, and the speed at which Hikaru calculates all that is amazing. Just to recap at the end, with all the arrows on the board, right? Let's try to unpack this variation. So here, Hikaru computes 2 variations. Very quickly, if he's trying king d2, he's realizing check, and here check, and the king cannot run away. So over here, he's thinking, well, king d2 is not right. What about king going to c2? And that's where the crazy variations are coming in his mind. So if you give a check here, and once again, he's checking all the force move. Check here is one, check over here is another one, and he's even checking knight b4. Once again, Canaan moves, go for checks, and then compare the line and select the best one. That the recipe is doing super fast. Now, let's go to the two other checks. So bishop e4 is not working because the king escaped. Okay, bishop b3, the king escapes. And if you are to give check, simply you run out of checks. So what is a crazy variation? Knight b4 is looking at taking, you give a check, you give another check. Black takes, giving another check over here. King c3, rook a8 check, king d2, check, another check or force move. And here he's looking at king b1, queen g3, and he's thinking that he can stop the check like that. That was slight inaccuracy after 11 moves, and actually on rook c8 check, could simply play king d2 and you win. But the point I'm trying to make is looking at all the checks. Can black check here? Can black check here? And can black check over here? And after he's done all the computation over here, he's finishing, and then on bishop e4, he's gonna try to hide here. And in the last video, the queen comes to d1 and he takes. But he also computed another check here, and you're hiding, check, and you're hiding on b4. You don't have any more checks. The only check you would have is queen b2. But once again, the rook over here covers. So he's making sure his king is safe, and he goes for the variation king c2 and find the solution of the puzzle. Let's see the last video from Hikaru on this position.
I'm not even pretty certain. I'm very certain that it's not king d2, so it has to be here. Okay, now if I go here, he just takes and I resign as usual. So I guess I have to run it out here, and on check I go here, check, and here, and if it takes, I just take with the rook. My instinct. And now I just eat the queen. Very good. Okay, up to 58. Let's keep going.
In this position, it is Danya Naroditsky to uncork a winning variation against GMHikaru, the challenger from Magnus Carlsen in Dubai last year. Why to play and win? Once again, you're looking at the position. The king here is very exposed. Now the queen here is defending. For instance, queen h5 will be checkmate. Obviously, black has a lot of pieces, so you need to find a winning move. And here, brilliant, rook h8 check. Now the pin from the bishop g7 cannot take the rook because this rook here is pinning the bishop. So then the black king has to take. You win the queen. Now bishop e5 was a follow-up, and here he computed f4. Black took, take, and take. And here, how you calculate the winning move? Well, you see a pattern. Loose pieces drop off. So you have loose pieces here, and queen h6, check, and pick up the knight here, and you win. Queen h6, winning position. But the star move of the game was, of course, rook h8 check. So now I think we've seen a few examples But you may say, well, these are tactics for Hikaru that he was solving in puzzle survival, but can you use these tactics in real games? Well, on my channel, I have both Firuzja and Nakamura tactical challenge. So I will leave you with the last video from Hikaru himself finding an amazing checkmate in a blitz game on chess.com. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please check out my channel and please subscribe. That really helps a lot. Thank you very much.
Oh my god, did I just blunder or something? Check. Guess I have here and here. I made him. Oh my gosh, I made him. I'm sorry, even though we're playing with timer, I have to stop this because there's one of the most beautiful mates you'll ever see here. I have to show you guys this mate. So if he goes king h7, which is an obvious move, I go here, here, and then I click alt and I under promote to a second knight, and then I mate him with rook f8, and D's knights end the game. This is actually a beautiful checkmate, where I under promote if he doesn't take the rook. So I just had to show that to you guys quickly.